All right, so good morning, and thank you guys for being here at the Colorado Festival of Horror. I'm Montavious with _Empty Crypt, a horror podcast and YouTuber. So very excited to have you guys here. Just kind of jumping right into it. So what was the process like for the audition for Friday the 13th? And this is for both of you.
Okay, well, for part one, and Adrienne King for part one, I auditioned in 1979 during the summertime. It was an open call for all actors who could be camp counselors. And so everybody showed up. We did 3 days of acting, actors and actresses, New York people. And they whittled it down and callback after callback, and then pairing and pairing. And then the screen test for the final girls. And then it took a whole summer slowly to do it, because they wanted every last cent of the first budget, they had to make sure it was spent correctly. So they took their time, and that was the process when we started shooting after Labor Day in 1979 at the camp. Yeah, the Boy Scout camp.
For sure. And your experience?
My story's more like, I got off the bus and got lucky. I'm telling you, compared to Adrienne's, I think because of her film was so successful, they had this formula down, so then they just had to fill in the blanks. So for me, I think what they saw in me was exactly what they needed for Ginny. So I only remember sort of one audition, and and then.
And you nailed it.
Right.
And then started shooting pretty soon.
All right, that's awesome. Now, what was the most memorable part being on set?
That it was cold and rainy and scary. For me, most memorable has to be the fight scene between Mrs. Voorhees and Alice on the beach, as well as the last scene where Jason, Alice's dream, pulls her into the lake, because that took multiple takes over the course of the 7 weeks of filming, but it was a continual 7 weeks because we shut down because we ran out of money. The first one was super low budget, independent, and then Paramount and Warner Brothers picked it up, and then for part two, Amy took over and they had a budget.
Yeah, we had her budget. It was really nice.
They slept in real beds.
But it still wasn't fancy. We still slept at the camp, in
Like you
Connecticut.
guys actually stayed there?
Yeah, and we had different camps. Mine was in Connecticut, hers was in New Jersey. But for me, one of the memorable part, it's the kind of thing where, sometimes hard things, kind of stick with you. You never forget them. So, there's certain scenes of just running from Jason and trying to kind of navigate the technical aspects of filmmaking, as well as just being highly anxious to getting killed. And so a lot of those scenes, when Jason comes through.
Especially, we were using real machetes and real pitchforks, you know what I mean? And we were not trained stunt people. We were actors,
Also, it's film, so they only were budgeted a certain amount of feet of film. And so you had to you couldn't do more than that. So as a young actor, you didn't want to be the one, with the bullseye on you that, fucked everything up.
Exactly,
Yeah.
It was all on you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, what about the headspace that you had to get into to, act certain scenes? Like, especially being this like an ultimate slasher film, like what was the headspace you had to get into to portray, an actual frightening scene?
Save your head.
Yeah.
That's it.
Run
Right.
fast,
What
girl.
would you do? What would anybody do to save your ass in your head?
I was laughingly, the way all the training that you get in life hopefully will pay off in a film. In this film, you just had to be yourself and let yourself be in the situation. But it's like there's a crazy person out here out to kill us all, okay? It does, look, I get goosebumps just thinking about it. You know what I mean? It doesn't take much, especially when it's out in the middle of nowhere, and it's pitch black, and it's cold, and it's nasty.
And somebody says, go, now, do it.
Hurry up, otherwise you're gonna die, you know?
Yeah.
For sure. Okay. Now,
You would get into it, wouldn't you?
yeah,
Real
you're
quick.
right. Definitely. Now, if you could have any role in any slasher franchise outside of Friday the 13th, what would it be and why?
Oh man, you're asking the wrong people.
Well, I loved Linda Hamilton in Terminator,
Oh.
and I love Sigourney Weaver
Okay.
in Alien. I mean, you know, just these strong women that fought and that had impact, and it's the same thing women fight for today. Like, don't believe me, I actually have no feelings, and I can think.
You know, we just were telling the other interviewer that we watched our movies recently on the big screen at the drive-in in Mahoning Drive-in in Pennsylvania. So I noticed some of the women just wait to be killed, and it's like, no, you gotta fight back. I mean, what is this? Did you notice some people like see the axe coming, they're like, no man, give him a good knee kick. You know, what are you waiting for? And it's like,
But those roles are the ones that make us really motivated
Right.
to stand up for ourselves.
Right.
So those women had to fulfill those places in the film,
Right.
so that other
So
women can stand
we could
up
be
and
strong.
say, I ain't gonna do that.
right, I'm gonna fight, I'm gonna win.
Yeah.
And I think in the 80s, that was the first time we're coming out of the women's lib of the 70s, and they're growing up, and all of a sudden we're taking on, okay, we can do this. We can fight and we can win, and women still have that ability. Fight and win.
Yeah.
I love that.
Gloria
Nice.
Steinem.
Yeah, Gloria.
And so just a few more follow-up questions for you guys. This is for Amy. So your audition for Lethal Weapon 3, you had to share a kiss with Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
Were you excited or were you nervous? Because I did read online that it was, you said it was a little weird. So what made it, if you can remember?
Yeah, oh no, I totally remember, because I went back to that film 3 times. And,
Wow.
yeah, and, I don't know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Good question.
They're probably just, you know, it just wasn't a lot of chemistry between Mel Gibson and myself. But he was certainly fun and
Yeah.
fine, and I don't know who the producer was, the director was in there, but we kind of had fun. I almost feel like we would have all been better just having a beer,
Yeah, okay.
you know, that kind of thing.
And Miss King, a question for you. So which one do you love more, fashion or theater?
Fashion or theater? Fine arts.
Okay.
Fine arts. But I do believe theater can be a fine art, you know, and is a fine art. I do enjoy theater, but I think my first passion is fine art and putting something, sculpting or creating something or putting something on a canvas, since that can live. That's my own production, my own direction, my own creative. Instead of fulfilling someone else's and enjoying that, to be able to create my own.
Okay, nice. And then just last question for the both of you. Now, what does it feel like to be a part of such an iconic franchise that's going to live on for generations to come?
I like that prophecy.
Yeah, it's very surreal and humbling, but also I'd like to think that women over the next few generations get stronger and stronger and ultimately are equal in this world, if not more than equal.
Yeah, be nice to see
Wouldn't that
a
be nice?
female president.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wouldn't that be nice?
I mean,
Female
right there,
president
it
anymore?
may happen. So.
Final girls fight and win.
Yeah,
Final
seriously,
girls fight
these
and
final
win.
girls. Okay, make sure you're registered to vote.
Yeah,
Please
please.
vote.
All right.
Please. Final girls fight and
Exercise your right.
Yep. And so that's all I had for today. Thank you guys again
Thank
for
you.
joining us.
so much.
It was a
certainly.
pleasure.
Yes, ma'am. Certainly. All right. Thank you.